Hi all, and welcome back to another episode of Efficio's Transforming Public Procurement Microcast series, where we continue to help you better understand key elements of the new Procurement Act regulations. In this week's episode, I'm joined by Helen Su, a consultant within our public sector practice, to talk about record keeping and registers. Welcome, Helen. So what's important to know here in relation to the new Act?
Hi Jack, great to be on the series. So yes, as we know, transparency is a key theme of the new legislation. Now, the publication of information on the central digital platform provides a permanent record of that procurement. The key things to remember are that under the new Act, contracting authorities are required to keep records that are sufficient to explain a material decision made during the award of or entry into public contract for a period of 3 years following contract award. And contracting authorities must also keep records of any comms with suppliers in relation to the award of a contract prior to the contracts being entered to for the same period.
Okay, so when is the decision deemed material then?
So a decision is deemed to be material if it's required by the Act. For example, the decision to award the contract to a particular supplier or as to the procedures to be followed, or where contracting authority is required to publish a notice or other information as a result of the decision.
And would you have some examples of that?
Yes, so a material decision may include things like excluding one or more suppliers subject to a mandatory or discretionary exclusion, down selecting one or more suppliers based on the conditions of participation or at an interim stage of a competitive flexible procedure, the assessment of the tenders against criteria, or the decision to award the contract.
Okay, great. And so what about records?
Yes, so records may include, but aren't limited to, things like notices and associated documents, tender submissions or requests to participate, assessment summaries, correspondence with suppliers, expressions of interest, clarifications, etc., and also internal governance documents.
Okay, that all makes sense. And then when we look at commercial tools and registers, what can you tell us there?
Of course. So, as you know, historically, public procurement data is often incomplete. It's recorded in inconsistent formats or held on separate systems. And this can make it difficult to share commercial information between organisations, and it restricts opportunities for collaboration as well.
Yes, and it often leads to resource-intensive duplication for both buyers and suppliers, right?
Exactly. So one of the long-term goals of this procurement reform is for the central digital platform to be a place where buyers, suppliers, and the general public can access different types of data that will provide a clearer picture on public sector contracts and procurement activities.
So what's the to-be state, I suppose, for the platform?
So the long-term ambition is that the central digital platform will host a number of commercial tools and registers that aggregate transparency information that is published to the platform. So for instance, a register of commercial tools which contain details of the different frameworks and dynamic markets that are available to access across the public sector, and also a contract performance register containing information about supplier performance against KPIs for in-scope contracts as published instances of reportable poor performance.
Thanks, Helen. That was a really great overview of record keeping and important registers under the new Act. I hope you all enjoyed today's microcast. As always, please do post any thoughts or questions in the chat and get in touch with Helen or myself for future topics you want to hear about. We'll see you all next week.